Hey everybody, I'm attorney Mike Contant. A question I'm often asked is, are drunk driving roadblocks legal? And the short answer is, if they're done the right way, they can be. Now normally, in order to stop a car, the police have to have some suspicion to believe that car is doing something wrong. Now, speeding, traffic violation, in the case of drunk driving, they have to have something to suspect that they're actually drunk driving, such as weaving all over the road, possibly an accident, something of that nature. OUI roadblocks are essentially the exception to one of the exceptions to this particular rule. And the reason behind is the courts have come up with these reasons. They said if they're done the right way, they can be considered legal. Now, the first requirement is that they have to be based upon a public interest, meaning that everyone knows of the dangers of drunk driving, that many people die in drunk driving accidents, and that's become a bad thing within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So the courts have said that if you're going to do a drunk driving roadblock, it needs to be based upon that particular interest of stopping accidents, stopping drunk drivers, stopping the fatalities. And the area selected by the police to do it has to be an area where they've had a lot of incidents of drunk driving, either as be proved either through arrest records or accidents or fatalities that are all based upon drunk driving. So they have to choose the area and deter for drunk driving roadblock to be an area where it's a problem, okay, in order to take away the need to have that suspicion. The second element, or the second requirement they have to have, is the selection of the cars to be stopped at the roadblock can't be arbitrary. And what that means is it can't be on the officer's whim, it can't be on his discretion. The cops don't get to choose. Essentially, in most cases, what happens is every car gets stopped, okay? So every car gets stopped for a brief period of time at this roadblock. So taking away all officers' discretion, okay? Another requirement is the safety of the public has to be assured while they're doing this. Now, again, they're doing something it's unusual for the public. Usually they're driving down the road and they don't plan on being stopped. And it can cause fear in the general public, and they don't want to cause fear or inconvenience. So what they do is they have to make sure that the area is well lit, that the area is marked. Typically what they'll do is they'll have signs announcing the roadblock, several hundred feet or yards away, saying there's a roadblock coming up, you need to stop. Oftentimes there'll be cones directing people to particular lanes to be talked to by the officer. It has to be an area so that people's safety is assured, okay? Another requirement is that the inconvenience of the person being stopped needs to be minimized. What that means is that they're conducting this stop based upon no suspicion of criminal activity whatsoever. So in order to make sure that the general public isn't significantly inconvenienced, they have to make sure it's quick. So what that typically means is for the person who has not been drinking and driving, and there's nothing to suspect, they should be in and out of there really quickly. So they go through the roadblock, the officer talks to them very briefly, maybe gives them some information on the dangers of drunk driving. And if the officer doesn't detect anything in that very brief, 10, 15, 20, 30-second period of time of talking to the person, that person should be sent on their way in a very short period of time. Only if the officer detects that they may have been drinking, so that they smell alcohol, they have slurred speech, they might see something in the way they're driving, do they then send not only those people that they make that detection of down to a second area where more screening will be conducted, such as more questioning, potentially asking those people to do field sobriety tests, maybe eventually a breathalyzer test, but it's only in that circumstance. Most people who there's no suspicion need to be sent on their way in very short order, very quickly. Another requirement, very important requirement, is that this all has to be done pursuant to a plan. And it can't just be any plan. It has to be a plan that's actually made up by supervisory personnel of the department. Now, that could be a captain in the state police barracks. It can be someone higher up in the particular police department, but it has to be a plan. The plan has to set out all these factors, again, where it's going to be conducted, why they selected that location. They have to show within that plan exactly what each officer is to do and say in the sequence, how many signs they're going to be, what they're going to use cones, where they're going to direct people to. Basically taking away all the discretion of officers to just go off script and do what they want. This plan has to be in writing. The state police in Massachusetts actually have a set plan they use for these things. And that's very important to make sure that they're taking away any discretion from the officers to do what they want to do. And essentially they have to follow this plan, this script, to the letter, or else there can be issues relative to the legality of this particular type of stop. Okay. It's not so much a requirement, but a suggestion. the courts have said that we're not going to require you to give advance notice to the public by publishing this in a newspaper or media outlets such as the TV or internet, but it's a great idea. And the courts have said, although we're not requiring it, we think the best practice would be is if you give advance notice to the public through publication of some kind as to the date, the times, the approximate place, but not the exact place where you're going to be conducting this particular roadblock. So these are the requirements that should be present when the police are conducting any type of drunk driving or OUI roadblock. If you have any questions about this or anything related to drunk driving or traffic offenses, please feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to speak with you about it.